right, welcome to the March update. We are going to get right in on our existing homes here in El Paso, Texas. We're talking about single-family residential homes, El Paso, Texas. This is what our chart looks like. So we had a little bit of a fall off from January through February, all the way up to the 1st of March. And here's what happened overall. Down. Sales were down 0.48%, pretty much flat year over year. But coming out of January into February, we did have a decrease in sales there, and that's why we saw that hockey stick kind of going down. Months of inventory is up 11.6% year over year, and that dust is still getting to me from yesterday. It was just a horrible day, and I'm still breathing a little bit challenging. But we got 2.78 months of inventory for resale homes. That's a pretty good bit compared to where we were 3 years ago, where we had about 45 days worth of inventory total. This gives buyers a lot more choices in the marketplace. Now, average selling price went up. That was the surprising thing, that we're 10% above last year at $272,965. Average size home also went up just slightly. We're at 1,898 square feet, and the price per square foot went up to $148.17. And again, those are big numbers for the El Paso area. And finally, days on market dropped to 53 compared to 63 days last year, meaning that they're selling a little bit faster than they were a year ago, 17% difference overall. Now, in our new homes market, the builders are still experiencing some great growth. In fact, they had almost a 20%, so 18.9% year over year, sold 226 homes in the month of February 2025. Months of inventory is down 17.7% year over year. So they sold out of some of the inventory back in December and in January, and they haven't rebuilt everything, put it back into the multiple listing service yet. Average price down 11.5%, down at $317,179. I think it's probably going to start hovering there, just because that seems to be a ceiling in our marketplace, where the majority of our buyers cap out somewhere around $300,000. Average size of the home still shrinking 1.3% year over year, 1,879 square feet. That's still a really nice size home. You can get a great 4-bedroom home with a living room, great 3-bedroom home with maybe 2 living rooms and a formal dining room. You can get a fantastic home here in El Paso for the average price of $317,000. That's fantastic when you're looking at it from the nation standpoint. Price per square foot up just slightly, 0.51%, $171.30. So if you're out of town looking for a great place to buy, this is a fantastic place to be, because our prices are so low comparatively when you're looking at Texas, New Mexico, and the nation as a whole. And days on market, 110 compared to 148 last year. Again, just look at these numbers here, because builder will put a lot on the market today. There's no house there yet. They're going to build it, so days on market doesn't mean as much there, but it does indicate that the market is moving a bit faster than it was last year. Now, we're going to look at our FHFA market appreciation report. That was just released on March the 1st. For all of 2024. The data comes out a little bit slow. It's about 60 days after the closeout of the year. And here's what happened in the El Paso area. We had an increase in value of 5.1% year over year. Now that's big when we're talking about overall 143% appreciation over the last 20 years. And for this year, when we're looking at those notices of value that are going to be coming from the Central Appraisal District, the county went up 5%. And we're already talking about how the real estate taxes are one of the barriers to entry in our marketplace. But when we have a shortage of inventory, 2.76 months of inventory, we have buyers that are still buying, and then couple that with interest rates in the 6s, our market overall is doing fantastic. But when it comes to the appreciation, the real estate taxes are going to continue to hurt us when we're hovering somewhere in the 2.5 to 2.75 range, especially with some of the big school districts talking about budget shortfalls. We've got Canutillo out to the north that's talking about budget shortfalls. We've got Socorro ISD talking about budget shortfalls, laying off teachers. this is, our appreciation's fantastic, but when it comes to our property taxes, this is going to be a tough row to hoe for a lot of people. Now, comparatively, Texas, we here in El Paso outpaced Texas. They had a 2.3% appreciation rate statewide, so we had more than double that. That's one of the few times that I've ever seen that here in the El Paso area. Now, our neighbors to the north and to the west, here in Las Cruces, which includes Santa Teresa and Sunland Park, 3.8% appreciation, though, so they're still feeling some growth in the marketplace there. The state overall had a 5.4% appreciation rate for 2024. So both Texas and New Mexico are seeing that appreciation. Difference in New Mexico, you don't have that property tax bill like you do here in El Paso, but you do have the state income tax, but they're attracting a lot of folks that are on fixed incomes just across the border in Santa Teresa and Sunland Park, and there's some fantastic things that are happening out there from the real estate standpoint and the job standpoint. Just a couple of weeks ago, another 1,000 jobs that were announced for a company that's coming out with a big data center. So good things happening over there. Now, on to our mortgage rates. Zillow's reporting yesterday 6.55% as the average 30-year mortgage. So I took this and I said, you know what? What was it last year? What was it 2 years ago? What was it 3 years ago? So I went to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, Fred, and I got the Federal Reserve economic data, and here's what I found. This week, excuse me, 6.63% was what the Federal Reserve economic data showed was the average. 6.63, that's not far off of the Zillow number. And the second number is what the federal funds rate is. If a bank has to borrow money from the Fed, this is the rate that they're paying, and then they're going to have the upcharge there a little bit. So we got 4.33%. Now, 1 month ago, it was at 6.89% for the mortgage rates and 4.33% for the federal funds rate. A year ago, on March the 7th, they pulled this on Thursdays. Every Thursday, they pulled the numbers. So the date is going to change a bit. 6.88 was what the mortgage interest rate was. 5.33% was the federal funds rate. 2 years ago, 6.63%. And it was at 4.65. So what we're seeing here is that we've been in the sixes pretty much for the last 2 years, and we ought to be used to those interest rates. The builders are buying big blocks of money and selling the money to the buyers, and I think that's what has helped their sales to where they're looking at almost 20% year over year, where they're able to incentivize the buyer, come buy a home from us, we'll sell you the home, we'll provide you with cheaper money than what the open market will do on a resale home, and we will offer buyer agency compensation. And a lot of buyers are saying, that's my preferred route. I get a great home. I get a brand new home. I'm not sacrificing a huge amount on the square footage. I am paying anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 more, and I get to fix the backyard however I want because the builder isn't going to do that. Now, if we go back 3 years ago, here's the problem. Well, not necessarily the problem, but this is where the memory hits. Okay, so 3 years ago in March, interest rates were at 3.85%. Now that's kind of a once in a lifetime deal, and those of us in the business remember when we had interest rates in the 7s and the 8s and maybe even in the 9s, and we're looking at this 3.85 and saying that's not normal. We need to get over that because the last 2 years we've been in the 6s. And that's somewhat normal for our marketplace, and we'll probably continue to see that throughout 2025. Time will tell with the economy and everything else going on. But I just thought that was interesting that we would pull that data. Now, continuing, here's what our index returns. So we've got negative numbers all across in February for the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the small cap and the large cap. So I still like real estate because I like that tangible asset that I can hang on to. And then our three key takeaways. Number one, we're still in an appreciating market because our home prices, when you compare us nationwide and statewide, we have low prices here in El Paso. And with the builders, the way that they're incentivizing the buyers with those big blocks of money, The builders can provide a great product out there. Those of you on the existing homes, the resale side, you've got to figure out how to get your buyer to be attracted to you, and that's by having the right price on the property and by offering buyer agency compensation. Takeaway number 2, mortgage interest rates are flat over the past 2 years. We've been in the 6s, we're still in the 6s, we're probably going to continue to be in the 6s, and that's what the rate is. You can buy that down, maybe you can ask your seller to buy it down for you through some closing costs, but the rates are what the rates are, and that 3.85 that we saw in March of 2022, once in a lifetime thing. We're probably not going to see it again. We pray that we don't have another pandemic come along, and then that's what stimulates the economy. Takeaway number 3, it's a great time to buy and sell houses here in the El Paso area. If you are a buyer, you've got more inventory to compare to than what you had 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And the interest rates are stable. They're in the 6s. If you are a seller, you have appreciation. In 2024 alone, the market had a 5% appreciation rate. So those are 2 great reasons, one on the buy side, one on the sell side, to keep our market moving. And if you've got questions on how this information affects you and how your home fits in our local marketplace, I'd be happy to visit with you about it. You can call me, 915-588-1850. That's my cell number. Call me, text me on that. Email me, patrick@patricktuttle.com. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like what I'm putting out here. In the meantime, thanks for watching. God bless you, and make it a great day. Bye-bye.